There are a number of people that, because of Trump's behavior today at the White House with President Zelensky, are realizing for the very first time how similar he is to their abusive parent or high school bully. There are a lot of people who are going to be having some inner child trauma right now. And it won't be obvious at first. They won't even be able to identify it at first. But the way that Zelensky was labeled as disrespectful for speaking his truth, speaking objective truth, is very similar to how abusive parents react when they are challenged. And they always respond with a very disproportionately humiliating response. Not to mention all the gaslighting that we have been subjected to over the past several weeks, not to mention several years. The emotional and verbal abuse, the absolute lack of empathy. There's also a history of abuse in his prior relationships. And then there's the constant criticisms and insults. He can't ever seem to say anything nice about anyone who's on the opposition. Then there are also the ways in which he excuses or ignores his own bad behavior, as well as the bad behavior of others, like the cabinet members who have enabled some form of sexual abuse or bringing the Tate brothers back. And then there's all these policy attempts to isolate us from our allies on a national level and our loved ones on an interpersonal level, literally separating families kind of indiscriminately. I mean, save the kids, but not those kids. And then there's the projection, calling someone a dictator because you're kind of a dictator too. Likewise, there are the strategic people-pleasing behaviors, like cozying up to someone who's powerful enough to follow through on your threats. I mentioned the lack of empathy. I'll mention the lack of empathy again. Oh, and there's instilling fear about their reactions. If you cross them, something incredibly bad's going to happen. Like, oh yeah, you won't get money to rebuild after the fires. That's not even to mention the actual censorship that is happening. Russian state media was in the room, but the Associated Press is not welcome. There's the threat of physical violence, which I also will include the threat of litigation. How many times have I seen abusive parents using their kids and a custody battle against the other parent? It's not infrequent. This awakening is going to be very difficult for a number of people. I'm not asking you necessarily to hold space. I'm letting you know that I will be.